pictures of them, they're taking pictures of them.
I don't know what I'm gonna have.
Oh my God. That's cool.
Sleepless hours and dreamless nights and faraways. Ooh, wishing you were show in a different town on another time. Ooh, wishing you were here. Even though you're far away, you're on my mind. It's a heavy load, but I'll be by. Ooh, wishing you were here. Pay the price, make a sacrifice, and still I'll try. Ooh, wishing you were here. Wishing you were.
I'm sailing away, set an open course for the virgin sea, 'cause I've got to be free, free to face a life that's ahead of me. On board, I'm the captain, so climb aboard. We'll search for tomorrow on every shore, and I'll try, oh Lord, I'll try to carry on. I look to the sea, reflections in the waves spark my memory. Some happy, some sad. I think of childhood friends and the dreams we had. lived happily forever. So the story goes, but somehow we missed out on the pot of gold. But we'll try best that we can to carry on. A gathering of angels appeared above
Hi, I'm Dan Friend, and yes, this is all my fault. DeLand's warboat, US Army ST479 Tiger, is coming home after 78 years. It's been in Europe, 40 years in Holland in the commercial trade, the rest of the time in Sweden in the last 20 years, sitting on a canal in Stockholm. But I made contact with the owners almost 10 years ago, and when we found out how original this boat was, we asked them to put it in their will, which they did. And by doing so, they made a commitment that unfortunately for them had to be exercised early. John and Margaretta Higgins are fairly well off, and they chose to donate their boat to the city of DeLand. We're bringing it home. It's an Aster. And what you're going to see after this are bits and pieces and segments of TV stories and information about our progress. Everything that we're going to be doing is important. It's important to the city of DeLand, Volusia County, the state, and the country. ST479 Tiger is the only US Army ST tugboat to ever come home out of 550 that were built or purchased during World War II. Why? They were commercial items. It made sense to sell them wherever they were, as opposed to bringing them back and selling them here. So they did the economically smart thing, left them in Europe, or in some cases the Pacific. So our warboat is unique. Still has the original engine, still has the original superstructure in place. It's unheard of. I know one other boat in the world, and it's in a huge transportation museum in Turkey, of all places. And the museum has hundreds of boats, trains, cars, everything to do with transportation. And it includes a design 327 ST from World War II, ST479, and it still has its original engine and it runs. So, and we can't say that about our boat at this point. It runs on the auxiliary drivetrain. That's what we're going to use to come home. And the news is that we were coming home on January 15th. Details will be out. We hope to be there early in the afternoon and have a little get-together at Edstone Park with Margaretta and John Higgins that are making plans right now to fly over and come down the river to DeLand for the last time with Tiger. Incredible. Hope you enjoy what follows. Bye-bye.
Okay. Now, I'm in contact with the guy, and I'm still involved with him on Facebook, but I haven't heard a whole lot about his offer. He made an offer a few years ago to put Tiger, ST479, in his will to go to DeLand Historic Trust for us to return it back home, which I'd love to do. But it's in Sweden. So if you happen to have $500,000 and, you know, the tug is free, but getting it here, but I'm thinking it could be a National Geographic special, okay? Old tug comes home from World War II. Wouldn't that be cool? All right, so let me know if you're ready to do this. I'm all for going to Sweden. I like Sweden. I've been there. It's a nice place.
During World War II, much of Central Florida was focused on aviation. But in DeLand, one of the military's unsung heroes was chugging along.
We got involved in building United States Army tugboats built on Lake Beresford during World War II and slightly thereafter. They built a total of 42 all-steel tugboats. 29 during the war were completed, and of that 29, we know for a fact that 16 of them actually went to Germany. We even found later on that one of the World War II boats ended up in Korea. And 4 of the last run built in 1953 ended up in Vietnam. So our tugboat served 3 wars.
As the tugboats made their way around the world, DeLand remained the perfect place to build.
They wanted to choose a site that was on the St. Johns River, and DeLand was perfect, and it also had a good workforce. They ended up having about 500 people, welders, plumbers, pipe fitters, working at what we call the Beresford Boat Works during World War II and later. They knew if they built them on Lake Beresford, they could float them up to Jacksonville without the engine being installed. And once it was there, they could install the engine, the tugboat would go down into the water another 2 feet, and then they could turn them over to the US Army from that point, which is exactly what they did.
The tug served in many ways, but the boat's resilience is really what set them apart.
The tugboats could push an ammo barge in like they did at Normandy. They could tow stuff up to intercoastal. They could save lives. They mounted machine guns during wartime and shot down airplanes. The tugboats were everything to everybody, and they knew that they had to have them.
A local group trying to get its hands on a tugboat from World War II that was built right here in Central Florida.
The problem is, it's all the way over in Europe. Fox 35 Sydney Cameron shows us how they plan to get it back here to Florida.
It's our holy grail. It's that rare.
It's this World War II tugboat built in West Volusia County in 1944, then given to the U.S. Army and believed to be used at the D-Day invasion of Normandy.
Discovered half a dozen still existed around the world, and yet this is the only one that still has the original engine, and the original superstructure is largely intact.
But it's stuck nearly 5,000 miles away in Sweden, says history buff Daniel Friend. A couple owns it, but because of the pandemic, they're looking to part with it. Now Friend, who's president of the nonprofit DeLand Historic Trust Incorporated, wants to bring ST479 home after 77 years.
This is the last of only 29 tugboats built on Lake Beresford during World War II by people in West Volusia and the DeLand area.
The U.S. Army used tugboats built on U.S. coastal towns during World War II to move loads all over the world.
If the nonprofit can get the tugboat to make the voyage from Sweden to Volusia County, they want to put it along the St. Johns River, either at Edstone Park or here at Lake Monroe Park. It will be part of a World War II monument to honor the 44 West Volusia service members killed during World War II.
We're getting strong donations from the community. We need more. We need corporate support.
Sydney Cameron, Fox 35 News.
He's worked in real estate. He's been an educator, but it's in retirement that Dan Friend, president of the nonprofit DeLand Historic Trust Incorporated, is making history. West 2's Claire Metz reports Friend is closing in on his dream to bring a World War II tugboat made in DeLand back to DeLand.
This is the only U.S. Army ST tugboat to ever come back to America.
And this is it, the ST479, the Tiger, 86 feet long, 23 feet wide, 140 tons of steel. There were 550 STs, small tugs, sent into World War II, 29 of them made in DeLand's Lake Beersford area, including the Tiger. Dan Friend believes it was built in time to be used in Normandy.
90% probability they used every one they could get over there that was built in time. They had to have them to build on the docks off of the French coast, to recover bodies. I mean, there were so many things.
Friend's passion for all things military, he's also the city's military curator, led him to discover the Tiger in private ownership in Sweden. The owners offered it to Dan, but he had to raise $200,000 to cargo the Tiger across the Atlantic.
I found an angel, a local patriotic angel, who said, I will give you $200,000 to bring the boat home to Jacksonville.
The Tiger's now berthed in Green Cove Springs. Dan and others working to clean it up and get the tug to DeLand under its own power, down the St. Johns, across Lake George. Dan says the tug won't be just the pride of the city and county, it's a national treasure. The lone tug to return from battle, Dan Friend, its warrior.
I'm known to be tenacious about things, and I just kept plugging along and talking to people, and it happened.
Though his angel, the anonymous donor, did the lion's share, getting that tug back to the States, Dan Friend says he's now working through his nonprofit, the DeLand Historic Trust, Inc., to finish the job, get the tug back to DeLand and into a static monument. In DeLand, Volusia County, Claire Metz, West 2 News.
Well, a piece of history making its return. A World War II era tugboat created in DeLand will soon be back in Volusia County. Quite the story here. The boat was just brought back to the U.S. from Europe.
The project more than a year in the making. News 6's Molly Reed shows us how leaders are preparing this piece of the past for its future.
DeLand City Commission started their conversations this morning about where the tugboat could go now that it's back in the U.S. Right now, their hope is to try to put it in a park near the river, but first it's going to be a matter of getting it to DeLand.
It's a completely unknown part of American World War II history. The tug that's coming back is the only one to ever return home out of the 550 U.S. Army World War II ST tugboats.
And its name is the ST Tiger, one of 29 of those tugboats built in a factory on Lake Beersford in DeLand. Dan Friend, president of the DeLand Historic Trust, says it was likely used in Normandy.
To build on the docks off of the French coast, to recover bodies. I mean, there were so many things. The tugs were essential.
Friend started research on the tugboats decades ago, even creating a website about them. About a year ago, he got a call from a couple in Sweden. They had the Tiger and would give it to him, but he had to pay for transport. The group started raising money. Then what he calls an anonymous angel came along,
who said, I will give you $200,000 to bring the boat home to Jacksonville. And after that, you're on your own.
On July 10th, it was brought back to the U.S. Right now, it's being held outside of Jacksonville. Friend and the other volunteers working on it will know next week if it can come down by itself.
We're going to bring her home on her own power. We're 90% certain. It's a diesel. And those old diesels, after 20 years, they crank right up.
How soon it gets to DeLand also depends on funding. The DeLand Historic Trust is fundraising again for paint, transportation, and monument costs. But Friend says one way or another, the Tiger is coming home.
It goes past the city of DeLand. This is the only U.S. Army ST tugboat to ever come back to America, to the place where it was built. The only one. That's extraordinary.
In DeLand, Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed getting results, News 6.
Earlier this month, month, we told you about the efforts to bring a piece of history back to its Central Florida roots. Tugboats created locally, then sent across the Atlantic to help fight World War II.
What's even more surprising, they were built inland, just off the St. Johns River near DeLand. Tonight, a look at one man's quest to bring one home.
The port at Green Cove Springs in Clay County is a resting stop for ships from far and wide. Many with stories of better times, but none with the history.
It's older than anything here, for sure.
Of this latest arrival.
You know, there's nothing here that compare to a boat that was in Europe and in the war.
Moored at the end of Pier 1 is the tugboat known as Tiger.
We're on ST479 Tiger, a US Army small harbor tug. Built during World War II.
And thanks to Dan Friend, ST479 Tiger,
it is amazing,
is coming home.
And they started up within 6 months of Pearl Harbor. They were building tugboats on Lake Beresford and DeLand.
A total of 29 tugboats were built for the Army on the shores of Lake Beresford. Small Tug 479 was one of them.
And more than likely, it was built in time to serve in Normandy, to help the invasion effort to build the Mulberry docks off of the coast of Omaha Beach that were so vital, so crucial to our victory at the Normandy invasion.
And that's what makes this tug so special.
This is absolutely original.
To Dan Friend.
From World War II.
And it's why he traveled across the globe to bring it back.
We refer to this as a quest to return ST479.
And it has been quite a journey. Friend tracked the boat down to a canal in Sweden, where it had been for more than 20 years.
It was a working boat, and that's how she survived. To me, and I like old things, it's like finding a 200-year-old flintlock musket that's never been messed with. The wood's funky and it's rusty, but it's real, it's original.
Real, original, and in need of repair. But Friend is up for the challenge.
I mean, we've got a long way to go.
After a successful fundraising effort, last month, ST479 made it back to the port of Jacksonville. Its story and Dan's now one in the same.
How do people find something that they thoroughly enjoy doing and feel like it's worth doing? I feel like this is worth doing.
I think he likes a project. Pretty cool. Friend says the plan is to first paint the boat and eventually display it as a part of a memorial in West Volusia County. If you know someone who is getting results, you can nominate them for the News 6 Getting Results Award. Just head to clickorlando.com, find the form under the Getting Results tab right there on the homepage.
God bless him. What an unusual story.
Right. And for him to have that interest in particular,
I love it. Hopefully he can, share more of that knowledge with everyone in our community.
Hi, I'm Dan Friend, and yes, this is all my fault. DeLand's warboat, US Army ST479 Tiger, is coming home after 78 years. It's been in Europe, 40 years in Holland in the commercial trade, the rest of the time in Sweden in the last 20 years, sitting on a canal in Stockholm. But I made contact with the owners almost 10 years ago. And when we found out how original this boat was, we asked them to put it in their will, which they did. And by doing so, they made a commitment that unfortunately for them had to be exercised early. John and Margaretta Higgins are fairly well off, and they chose to donate their boat to the city of DeLand. We're bringing it home. It's an Astor. Everything that we're going to be doing is important. It's important to the city of DeLand, Volusia County, the state, and the country. ST479 Tiger is the only U.S. Army ST tugboat to ever come home out of 550 that were built or purchased during World War II. Why? They were commercial items. It made sense to sell them wherever they were, as opposed to bringing them back and selling them here. So they did the economically smart thing, left them in Europe, or in some cases the Pacific. So our warboat is unique. Still has the original engine, still has the original superstructure in place. It's unheard of. And the news is that we were coming home on January 15th. Details will be out. We hope to be there early in the afternoon and have a little get-together at Edstone Park with Margaretta and John Higgins that are making plans right now to fly over and come down the river to DeLand for the last time with Tiger. Incredible. Bye-bye.